Action is here. Yesterday, not the best of days, not gonna lie, but we're gonna bounce back today. It is Friday. A ton of conference basketball for us to break down, a lot of tournament games. We're about to get into it. We're preparing for March, and yes, I do have my first Final Four future as well coming up here on the free three. A lot of great plays on the way. Let's get into it.
I love it, Noble. Noble, I also love your YouTube videos. I watched them while I was gone. That was fire.
But getting paid because yesterday we had a full sweep. My going under, that was just icing on the cake.
Why are we going to go in such a weak AFC South?
Unless we have the NBA Blowout Association.
Bang! Knicks take a 1-point lead with 13
When you hear the sirens, you know what that means.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
Good morning, my friends. It is your boy Noble Living here with another DYF Bets video where I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day as we just try to get to the bag together and make some money on this Friday, the March the 7th. I hope you guys have been doing well out there. It's conference action time in college basketball. A lot of games on the slate. Games are starting at 12 p.m., going all the way until midnight. You love it because all this action is leading us up to the big dance. And with the big dance, that means brackets, it means there's money, it means there's futures, and all of that I'm going to start breaking down in today's video, but also over the next coming shows here. Every single weekday we're here, so be on the lookout. Today I'm going to give you my first Final Four future alongside 3 best bets today, 2 in college basketball, 1 inside the NBA, and then starting next week I'm going to start adding a little bit more of the futures as we kind of start seeing how the brackets might kind of start working their way out for Selection Sunday, and then again we'll trickle a little bit of NBA in there as well. Speaking about NBA, well, yesterday we did take an NBA best bet in with with what's his name, Tyrese Halliburton. I don't know why it was slipping by me, and he didn't play, so that was really my favorite play of the day, and that didn't play. So because he didn't play, I started adding a few extra plays in there, and then I ended up just eating into our profits pretty big yesterday. A disappointing 1-4-1 day yesterday. Officially on the channel we went 1-2. I added 2 extra plays and they lost. You hate to see that. So a quick recap on how we did yesterday. Like I mentioned, Tyrese Halliburton, he did not play, so that was a push or a null and void bet. Then I added MTSU at home against Liberty on the money line. I was really tailing Mikey overs on this one. I liked his analysis on it. I do like MTSU as well. I've been following them pretty heavily, but you know what? They might have lost this game, but I do like them as well in the Conference USA Championship, so we might want to take a look at that if these 2 teams face off again now that it's a winner-take-all for the NCAA tournament. As we move on, I added a 3-way parlay yesterday late night with North Alabama, Jackson State, and Milwaukee. Man, what about them Oakland Bears, bro? The Golden Bears from Oakland. You guys probably remember last year with Jack Kokel, that team that went all the way, to the Elite 8, Sweet 16, upset Kentucky. A lot of great things. They just know how to win in March. And you guys have to keep that in mind when you're handicapping some of these college basketball and conference tournament games, because you might have a team like Oakland that was a number 7 seed or number 6 seed against Milwaukee, who was the 3 seed. And this was one of the conferences in the Horizon League where the home team actually gets to play at home. The higher seed gets to play at home. So to see Milwaukee lose at home to Oakland after being 7-point favorites after Oakland played the night before, great coaching job by Oakland. So that was just a tough loss on that 3-way parlay. So those were the 2 added plays that I gave you guys yesterday, and then our 1 null and void plays. For the other 2 plays that we had throughout the day, or I should say 3 plays, our only bet that we hit was our Bankroll Builder of the day, the Survive and Advance Murray State to cash in, and Illinois State. No sweat bet there. Both of those teams winning by damn near 20 points. You love to see it. We took the over in IPFW in Youngstown State. That didn't even sniff going over. I mean, that was going under for the entire game, so that was just a terrible read. And then the under 156.5. Everybody and their mama was on this under, and I should have probably jumped ship, because once I saw the line drop all the way down to 152 by the time the game started, I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, there's something wrong here. But I wrote it out. I rode with my man Sports Talk Matt over there at Betting Pros, and it lost as well. So 1-4-1 officially on the day. But seeing how we've done over the last week, over the last 30 days, we were due for a little bit of regression. All right, guys, that's a part of the game. But today we're gonna bounce back in a big way, because I have got 3 big plays for you. Let's get into it. Let's start off with the college basketball slate. A lot of great action going on in the conference championship games. You can see lines already moving pretty heavily here. Opened up at 12.5, now it's up to 15.5. 8.5 for Drake, now it's at 10.5. So we gotta lock in our plays as soon as we can, because we're getting a lot of line movement. But don't let that scare you guys. Stay true to your number, and a lot of times these games are going to be a little bit closer live, so you might be able to grab the number you're looking for live. So for our first best bet of the day, I'm going to lock in our money line parlay. We have 2 money line parlays for you guys on the college basketball slate here. The first one, it's going to be Radford and Hofstra. So let's give you guys this play first, since this one starts at 2:30. I like Radford minus 3.5. I really do. But I'm just going to take the money line just to be safe, because again, anything can happen come conference tournament time. So let's just take Radford on the money line here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to parlay that with Hofstra. Those 2 teams together get you to minus 103. So we're going to put about minus 105 here to win 1 unit. Lock that in as our first best bet of the day. So the first game that we're really going to look at is the Radford Presbyterian game, because that is the game that is like kind of the leg of this parlay here. They're again minus 3.5 point favorites. If we go take a look at both of these schools real fast, we can see Radford in the Big South. They're 19-12 on the year. They're ranked 156 on KenPom, not too bad. If we look at the bracket, they finished 4th in the regular season in the conference, so that's not too bad. Meanwhile, Presbyterian, they're right there at about 6 at 7-9. Radford's 9-7. If we look at the head-to-head matchups between both of these opponents, you can see that Radford beat Presbyterian on the road back on January the 25th, but they lost to them at home just a few days ago on February the 22nd by 7 points. And that is one of the reasons why I really like Radford here. Not only were they able to string together back-to-back losses at the end of the season, that gives us a little bit of momentum, but also it's just a great revenge spot. You beat this team earlier in the season, and then they beat you on your home floor. Now you get to face them again for everything on the line on a neutral floor. Then it just is basically everything's null and void. Sometimes when the angle is like, hey, this team beat them twice, it's hard to beat a team 3 times, I hear all of that. But when they split the season series, I feel like everything's up for grabs. And then when you also lose to that team later on in the season, I think it holds a little bit more weight. And again, I love the fact that they won 2 games right after they lost this one. And truthfully, when you look at the scheduling spot, you can kind of see why they lost this game. UNC Asheville, let's look at this real quick. They beat Longwood, right? No, let's go back a little bit further. They lose to High Point by 3 points. High Point wins this conference. They're the number 1 seed. Let's go back to the conference standings. Let's go back to the conference standings just real quick. High Point, Winthrop, UNC Asheville, Radford. Remember those schools. High Point, Winthrop, UNC Asheville, Radford. So you've got High Point right here, right? You lose by 3 points in a hard-fought game. You beat Longwood. You lose to Winthrop by 4 points. Then you beat UNC Asheville, and then you lose to Presbyterian. So they basically played the top 3 teams. You beat one of them. You're competitive against the other 2 of them. You just beat this number 2 seed in Asheville or number 3 seed in Asheville. And then now you are again at home against Presbyterian. It was the classic letdown spot. So you lose this game, but then you realize that, and now you bounce back. And I also love the fact that they've lost, win 1 game, lose a game, win 1 game, lose a game. And the reason why that is because now that they've strung together 2 straight wins, as a head coach, you're telling your team this. Hey, we need to string wins together. We haven't strung any wins together all season. Now is our time to be able to do that, and now they get to do it against a Presbyterian team that you can see is ranked 228th on KenPom. They're not the best. 242nd in adjusted defensive efficiency, 266 in effective field goal percentage, and you can see they went through stretches throughout the season where they lost several games in a row. 4 straight losses here, 3 straight losses here. They finished off the regular season strong, winning 3 straight games in a row. But again, I just think when you go to a neutral floor, everything is on the line. Everything is like you got to throw everything out from the regular season, and it comes down to what is the better team, what is the better coaching. And I like Radford here. They've been the better team, and I also like some of the games they played in non-conference like Clemson, Utah, Pitt, Colorado State. That gets you prepared for this type of team here. I also love the fact that they're strong on the offensive glass. So we're going to lock in Radford. I think they win minus 3.5. You can lay it, but I'm just going to take them on the money line. Again, this is a 2:30 Eastern time start, so an early start to this one. Now, Hofstra, I don't really need to break that down too much for you guys. Simply, North Carolina A&T 7-24, Hofstra's 14-7. This has not been the usual Hofstra team that we're used to in the CAA. They're typically one of the best teams in the Colonial Athletic Association, but this year it has not been the same. So as a result, anything can happen come conference tournament time. I can see Hofstra being very similar to like Oakland in the Horizon League, a lower seed that's kind of disappointed this year, but can always get it going come conference tournament time because of how they coach and how they play, and also because of the experience. North Carolina A&T, I think they've won like 2 games in conference or something like that. Not very impressive. So that's the 2 best bets. We're locking that in for our first money line parlay of the day. Now, for our second best bet of the day, what's good, Curbs? What's good? Good to see you, fam. Good to see you. For our second best bet of the day, we're going to go to another money line parlay. I'm not going to lie, guys. Some of these spreads scare me. The books are sharp. They know what they're doing. The reason why I say that is because, look at this. You're getting 6.5. You're getting 8.5. You're getting 5.5. You're not getting that 3.5, 2.5 number anymore. You're getting 6.5. You're getting 3.5. You're getting 8.5. You're getting more. You're like, the books know these games can be close or they can be just a blowout. So as a result, I don't want to play around with the 5.5 point spread and a team wins by 3 points, and now I'm pissed off, right? Like, I just don't want to deal with that. That's what we're dealing with right now in conference tournament time. So because of that, what I'm going to do is we're going to cook up a 3-team steam here, all right? A 3-way parlay. We're going to go UNC Asheville. We're going to go VMI. We're going to go Kent State. So UNC Asheville is the main leg of the parlay. You can see right here, they're minus 255 against Charleston Southern. So let's go look at them real fast before we kind of add the other legs in here. Charleston Southern on the year is an abysmal 10-21, ranked 296 on KenPom, and now they face a UNC Asheville team that we mentioned a few times. Hey, they were decent to start the conference tournament, 10-2, but they started dropping some games coming down the stretch. That is concerning. That is concerning. But again, when you look at the Big South and the conference standings, High Point was 14-2, Winthrop's 11-5, and UNC Asheville's 11-5. So they finished tied for second. And the reason why it's a little bit concerning, but I'm not hitting the panic button just yet, is because at 14-2 is the number 1 seed, the number 2 seed's 11-5. You have to basically hope that the number 1 seed loses 3-4 games for you to move up. And when you know that's not going to happen, I guarantee you they didn't take these games that seriously. They were probably resting some of their stars. They were probably working on new schemes, or even trying to look ahead and trying to see and scout out who would they be playing, like the possible bracket scenarios, and starting to game plan and scout for those teams. So for me, these losses here, they're not as much of a concern for me, because after you lose this one at 10-3, this one at 11-4, it's basically, hey, we're going to finish number 2, we're going to finish number 3, and at that point, you know, you kind of know what you're dealing with from a seeding perspective, and it's like, let's just get ready for the conference tournament. Now, same thing type of situation here, but UNC Asheville, they played a very close game with Charleston Southern, won that game by only 3 points back on February the 15th, a few weeks ago. But you can see here, they beat them on the road pretty handily by 8 points back on January. This is a very strong offense for UNC Asheville in comparison to their defense. You can see, ranked 124th in offensive efficiency, 29th in turnover percentage. They don't turn over the ball often. They're number 1 in block shots from on the offensive side. So that means they don't get their shots blocked a lot, and they don't force a whole lot of steals either. That's strong. But defensively is where we can bite our fingernails a little bit, and that's why I want to put it in a money line parlay instead of laying the spread here, which would be at what, 4.5, I think, 5.5. Now it's up to 6.5. I don't want to lay that, because when you have a team that's 285th in defensive efficiency, 304 in effective field goal percentage, 341st in offensive rebounding percentage, that means they foul. That means that they don't crash the glass. They give a lot of offensive rebounds. They don't force you into long possessions defensively, which means they're trying to gamble a lot. That, to me, is a point of concern. Any team in March can win. Any team. But especially when your strong suit is not your defense. If you make it an offensive shootout, then guess what? It literally comes down to which team is hitting shots that day. Now, that's why I lean with UNC Asheville, because they're the better offense here. But again, Presbyterian, they can put up some points. But offensively, they're ranked 216th. They play very slow on offense at 330 in effective pace. They do hit a good amount of threes, ranked 71st in three-point percentage. But UNC Asheville probably knows that. They got to take that away. UNC Asheville has the size advantage here. So we're going to take UNC Asheville to grab the win against Charleston Southern. Now, the other two legs that I'm throwing in here are really just to get the obviously boosted up from an odds perspective. The first one is VMI. Now, VMI is not a team that I typically tend to take. And the reason why that is because they're a military school, Virginia Military Institute, and obviously you guys know military schools are there to serve our country and not necessarily care about sports. But VMI on the Citadel. And who is the Citadel? Well, guess what? Another military school. And for me, when you have two military schools against each other, it's like basically Army versus Navy for the little leaguers. That's what the Citadel and VMI is. It's the mid-major Army versus Navy. And for me, I like the fact that VMI is the better team here. And all we need to do is just scroll down here and look at the conference standings. VMI 7-11 in the SoCon, the Citadel 0-18. Are they going to win their first conference game today in the SoCon championship first round? I don't know. I'm not betting on it. Again, two military schools here. That's just a pride thing. Y'all doing academy, shaving your head, doing all that shit. Hey, let's show up and let's just win the game. So VMI, beat the Citadel. Just get that done. That's the second leg. Those two legs right there, minus 104. Lock that in. Go home. Call it a day. I just threw in Kent State here because they're very big favorites at home. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to do the find and search here and just pulling up against Eastern Michigan. And if you put them in there, that gets us a plus 125 odds. Eastern Michigan 16-14 on the year. Kent State 20-10. They're an 11.5 point favorites. You don't really need to overthink it. I do not think that this game is for, this game is not for, it's not a conference tournament game. It's just for like the last regular season game for, I think, for both of these schools. But if we look at the max standings real quick, Kent State is third at 10-7, but they still have something to play for because Ohio is tied with them at 10-7 as well. So Ohio still has one game left today as well. So if Ohio loses, then Kent State locks up the number 3 seed. So at first, I'm typically not taking games right now that are still regular season games because some teams are incentivized and some teams are not. But right now, given the fact that Kent State is still incentivized, I'm taking them on the money line. Super huge favorite. That gets us a plus 125. Lock that in for best bet number 2. So 2 parlays down real quickly for today's Friday card. Radford and Hofstra, that's minus 103. And then we got UNC Asheville, VMI, and Kent State at plus 125. That's what we're locking in for our 2 college basketball plays. Now, our third basketball play is going to come in the NBA, and I'm going to give you guys the future, okay? Our third NBA play of the day is going to be, I should say our first NBA play. Actually, before I do that, since we're talking about college basketball, let me give you guys the future, all right? So the future that I was looking at, I'm trying to see if I have the future board here. Okay, let's go to the futures odds. So let's go to NCAA basketball futures odds here, and I'm going to change this to just make the Final Four. I don't want to bet on who's going to win the national championship until I see the bracket, because for me, that's the only thing that matters. It only matters about the bracket. So you can see here we have 3 teams, or 2 teams, that are my favorites to make the Final Four. Auburn, Duke. Do I agree with that? Based on what we've seen? Sure. But it's all about the bracket. But I think there's a team that is flying underneath the radar that a lot of people have not talked about that has the chance of making the Final Four depending on who they play. And I'm going to scroll down here. It's not Houston. It's not Alabama. It's not Tennessee. I think we can get some better value with some of these teams, and we're going to start taking some of these teams and start hedging off of it. But the first one is going to be kind of like a Hail Mary, a long shot. And I'm going to scroll. I'm going to keep scrolling, and we're going to lock this in right here. We're going to go with the Clemson Tigers at plus 1,500. I'm going to put a half a unit. Actually, we're going to do quarter units on the futures. We're going to do a quarter unit here for the Clemson Tigers to make the Final Four. Now, you're probably saying, Noble, why the Clemson Tigers? The ACC is such a weak division. Yada, yada, yada. I hear you. But guess what? When you have conferences like the SEC that have so many strong schools, what that does is also self-cannibalizes itself, because these teams are so beaten up. They're so banged up. By the time they get to the NCAA tournament, they face a team that might not have faced that many good teams, but they might match up really well. And guess what? The advantage goes to the other team. So just don't sit here and just smash Big 10 teams and Big 12 teams and SEC teams because of how strong the conference is. It looks really good in the regular season, but sometimes it comes to hurt in the postseason. Why? Because fatigue starts playing in and the pressure and all these different elements come to play. But the reason why I like the Clemson Tigers is because if we go here and we look at the ACC tournament conference standings, this is through 2 days ago, March the 5th. You can see Clemson right now is tied for the number 2 seed inside the conference with Louisville. This is probably how the standings are going to finish up. I think they have one more regular season, both Louisville, Duke, and Clemson. Duke has probably got the number 1 seed locked in. They're good to go. But Louisville and Clemson are the number 2, number 3 seeds. I like Louisville. They've been a very impressive school this season. But if we look at Clemson real quickly, and let's just go look at their body of work. A lot of people have slept on this Clemson team. They're 25-5. They're 18th on KenPom. They're top 20 in offensive efficiency, top 30 in defensive efficiency. They don't play fast, which is when you have a very high offensive efficiency and you don't play fast, that means that your offense is actually efficient. That means that you really know how to run half-court sets and go get points. If you see a team that's like 5th in offensive efficiency and like 5th in tempo, that means they're probably getting a lot of their points in transition before the defense really sets up. But the fact that they can score in the half court and they have the big men like Shefflin here, like Victor Lekhin, it slows down the entire game. It creates matchup problems. And then also in the NCAA tournament, when games become a little bit more half-court centric, guess what? Clemson is a team that can take advantage of that. But besides just the numbers on the offensive and defensive side that you guys can see right here, 14th in three-point percentage, they don't turn over the ball a lot. They force a lot of turnovers. I love the body of work here. Their losses, triple overtime to Georgia Tech. Anything can happen in triple overtime. Hard-fought loss. It happens. They lose to Louisville, the number 2 team in the conference. This was a bad early loss to South Carolina, but that's an in-conference rival, so you expect South Carolina to get up for that game on the road. You lose that game in overtime. You lose to Memphis, one of the top teams in the entire country and offenses in the American. They lose that game in overtime. Boise State, that game was earlier in the season. You got transferred. You're getting used to a new system, all that stuff. I'm not worried about that. But then look at this running conference. And I know the ACC's been weak this season, but guys, they beat Duke. They beat Duke. And I know that game was at home, but everybody's slobbing off Duke. 13 SEC teams have more conference wins than Duke. I'm not saying that Duke is not going to go far. I'm not saying that Cooper Flag is not legit. I'm not saying that John Shire doesn't have that team playing great basketball, but their body of work and who they played, and when they play good caliber teams, they're on upset alert every single night because they're going to get everybody's best blow. A team like Clemson, you're going to be sleeping on, you're going to be overlooking, and then when you also look at the ACC tournament, like kind of with the way that the bracket is going to play out, okay, let's look at this. So they're going to be a number 2 or number 3 seed, right? So that means they're going to play the winner of Game 6 or Game 7. So guess go to Game 6 or Game 7, which means they're probably going to play the number 7 seed, the number 6 seed, or, maybe one of these lower seeds that, maybe they do an upset or something. But the reason why I'm showing that to you is because number 6 seed is Wake Forest, number 7 seed is Stanford. And the reason why that's important is because both of those teams are streaky, but they're also actually very good as well. Stanford has probably one of the best players in the ACC outside of Cooper Flag. And the reason why that's important is because one of these teams might be able to win this game here and then upset Louisville, right, in the next round. Or one of the 5 seeds here might be able to upset a number 4 seed. And if Clemson can make it to the semifinals and one of the big dogs gets knocked out and they get to face a Wake Forest, they get to face a Virginia, they get to face a Georgia Tech, because one of the lower seeds is going to win like the top seeds never always win. One of the lower seeds are going to grab a W in one of these bigger conferences. And if that happens, Clemson can find themselves not only in the ACC championship, but they might win it all. I'm being so dead serious about that in terms of winning the ACC tournament. I know you guys are like Duke, and I get it. And Duke could win it. And I think it might work in our favor if Clemson makes it to the finals and loses, right? Why? Because now they might not get a whole lot of love from the committee, become a 4 seed, maybe a 3 seed, and guess what happens? they can get some favorable matchups as well. So I just like a lot of things with this Final Four team for Clemson. They're bringing back a lot of experience. They've got great head coaching. They went on a tourney run last year. I like them. I'm locking in Clemson for our first Final Four future at plus 1,500 for a quarter of a unit. So that is what we're locking in here for the college basketball slate. Now our final best bet is going to be inside the NBA. Let's go to Doink Sports real quickly, and I'm not going to yap on it too long. Real fast, this is what it is. Heat team total over 105.5. This is just way too low of a number here. Okay, let me zoom in here real quickly. You can see here that the Heat over the last 10 games are averaging 111 points per game. They scored 107 last game against the Cavaliers, despite the fact that Terry Rozier was literally trying to throw the game for whatever gambling debt that he's in. That dude looked atrocious. He played 40 minutes, had 12 points on 1 of 8 shooting from the three-point line, 3 of like 15. I mean, he looked like he was literally point shaving out there. And they still scored 107 points without Tyler Hero, without Andrew Wiggins, who are both on the injury report, but they both are expected to play today. Wiggins has an ankle injury. Tyler Hero missed the last game with an illness, but he should play. But the game before that, 106 against the Wizards, 112 against the Knicks, 125 against the Pacers, 131 against the Hawks. So you can kind of see the numbers right here. Meanwhile, for Minnesota on the defensive side, they've given up on average over the last 10 games 113 points per game. So 7 of the last 10 opponents have gone over this number, including 110 against Charlotte, 112 against Philly, 117 against the Jazz, 111 against the Lakers. And the other thing that I really like here as well, look at this. Road game, road game, road game, road game, road game, road game. So typically, and then the Suns, they just suck. So the thing is, typically the Wolves, if they have the lower scoring games, it's going to be home. But all these games are on the road where they've given up points, and guess where today's game is for the Heat? At home. And if you look at the home numbers, this actually bumps up to 9 out of the last 10 times. The 90% hit rate, 104.5 is the number. So we're getting a little bit of value right now because it is concerned if Tyler Hero, if Andrew Wiggins plays. But even if they don't play, guys, it's the NBA. You've got professionals out there. It's just way too low of a total. If you want to take the Wolves team total because you don't want to play around with it, it's at 110.5. You can see they're averaging 117 over the last 10 games as well. And the Heat are giving about on average 111 points per game. I'm not opposed to that. But again, if you go to the game overview view right here, you can see the injury list is pretty extensive, but again, I was reading some reports this morning that they expect Tyler Hero to play. He's the game time decision. And then Andrew Wiggins, he's in the projected starting lineup as well, as you can see it from right here, from what we're looking at. And then Bam should be playing as well. So I like the Heat team total over 105.5. Sorry, I've got a lot of shit going on here on the screen. All right, and we're gonna lock that in as our third and final best bet of the day. So let me pull that up real quickly here. Miami Heat against the Timberwolves at home. And another thing I want you guys to look at real quickly with this Heat, real fast, is look at this over the last 5 games. Even though they've won 3 of the last 5, they lost against the Cavs, they lost against the Knicks, they've covered the spread in 5 straight games as well. So a lot of people have been riding off the Heat, obviously because they had no Jimmy Butler, they've been dealing with a lot of injuries, but this is a team that's still been competitive despite the fact that they don't have some of the players that we're used to, and that's shout out to Coach Spoelstra, shout out to Pat Riley. You know they're not in the tank position. They don't ever look to tank. They're not looking to fold. They want all the smoke, and with that comes points in the NBA. So that's also another reason why I like this bet as well. Over 105.5, we get it at minus 105. Some books might have minus 104. You might want to do that for a little bit more juice, be my guest, but we'll lock this in for our third and final pick of the day. So this is what we're going with, my friends. 3 best bets for tonight's card and then 1 future. Our 2-way parlay of the day is going to be Radford and Hofstra. Again, this game starts at 2:30, okay? Our second parlay of the day is going to be UNC Asheville, VMI, and Kent State. And then our third and final best bet of the day is going to be the Heat team total over 105.5. We're getting really good odds value on this. And then again, we locked in our first futures bet of the year, which is going to be the Clemson Tigers to make the Final Four at plus 1,500. I appreciate you guys for tapping in. John, man, I appreciate you. You actually commented on the video yesterday. I have one more sweep giveaway to do, so you are my winner, bro. So if you shoot me a message on the side, whether it's on X or whether it's on YouTube, wherever, shoot me your Venmo, bro. I would love to get you our second giveaway of the week for the sweep, bro. I appreciate your comment on the video and all the love and support that you guys show. All right, my friends, tap in every single day, every weekday we're here. I'll do probably like a quick short tomorrow to go through maybe a few games real fast on the YouTube as well. So I won't probably do a full stream, but I might do like a quick short for you guys with a few plays on the Saturday card. All right, my friends, I appreciate y'all for tapping in every single morning. It is your boy Noble Living here. Follow me on all socials and on the Action Network as well, where I'll be adding a few more plays throughout the day. All right, let's get to that cheddar, dictate your fate, and as always, let's continue to climb and let's keep cashing those bets. All right, my friends, I'll see y'all tomorrow, and we'll have a sweep. Later, gang.